guys, thank you all for being here. And I always feel politicians should say this with business people. Thank you for paying my salary. Although I'm hoping you won't be doing so for too much longer. Politicians are very good, in my experience, at thanking doctors and teachers and soldiers. Quite right, so we should be. But I wish from time to time that we would find a little bit more occasion to say thank you to the people who are generating the surplus that pays for the doctors and the teachers and the soldiers and us. So, if for no other reason than that, it's a pleasure to come here with you to thank you in person. Now, why do I think that we would be better off? So actually, I should narrow that down a bit. Why do I think you'll be better off? Obviously, I'm going to lose my job if we were to leave it. It's a very handsomely remunerated and well-paid job. Why do I think that life outside the EU offers more opportunities to entrepreneurs, to startups, to small and medium firms? I'd say two things. First of all, Brussels is great for established cartel businesses. Probably the single biggest surprise for me as a newly elected MEP 17 years ago was the extent to which big business loves regulation. Now I was obviously very innocent. I was a youngish conservative. I assumed that being private enterprises, they would be in favour of freedom of action. Not a bit of it. They loved regulation because they saw an opportunity to use Brussels to get rules that suit them and hurt their rivals. I'll give you one example of this. It could stand for many. About 6 years ago, the European Union severely restricted and in some cases banned outright the use of a number of herbal remedies, traditional medicines and higher dose vitamin and mineral supplements. Now, opinion differs on the efficacy of alternative medicines. For what it's worth, opinion in the Hannan household differs on the efficacy of alternative medicines. My wife is very into herbal remedies of all kinds. I think that they are a harmless placebo. Then again, as King Solomon wisely tells us, better is a dish of bitter herbs in a house where there is love than a stalled ox and hatred therewith. And never before, perhaps, has the piece about the bitter herbs applied quite so literally as in this issue of the ban on herbal remedies. Anyway, whether you think they're useful or not, right, they're plainly not poisonous. No herbalist sets out to poison their customers. It's a bad business model. You know more about this than I do, right? So why did the European Union set out to restrict or criminalise an either harmless or beneficial activity pursued by some 20 million EU nationals? Well, it didn't take long to find where the pressure for this directive had come from. It had come from the giant pharmaceutical companies, because they saw an opportunity to get a monopoly. Basically, the rule was that if you wanted to sell any herbal product that you mixed yourself, you had to get it very expensively tested as a one-off example of a medicine, right? It was about £6,000 for every single time you did it. Now, if you are a herbalist who's growing her own calendula in her own back garden, that's the difference between being able to practice and not being able to practice. It means that if you're Boots, you then get a big monopoly. And in fairness, Boots and all the other companies of that kind were very open about lobbying for it. But ask yourself, who wins from that and who loses? I mean, obviously the big companies win, obviously the small companies lose. But doesn't the EU as a whole also lose as consumer choice is restricted and as competition is dampened? And this, I think, is the reason why the European Union, in global terms, is falling further and further behind. The year that we joined, 1973, the 28 countries that now make up the EU were 36% of the world economy. 1980 they were 30%. Last year they were 17%. Where's it going to be 10 years from now? 20 years from now? How low does it have to go before we drop this bizarre idea that we need to merge our institutions with theirs so as to have a minority say over terms is not just that it's already developed. I mean, yes, of course, developing countries are going to grow faster than developed countries. Of course they are. Just like a sunflower is going to go faster than an oak tree. But the EU is also falling behind in relative terms if you compare it to Canada or New Zealand or the United States or any other advanced economy. And the reason is this cartel approach to regulation. I gave you the example of the herbal medicines, but I mean, a far more current one would be the digital protectionism. Last week I listened to the German Commissioner, Mr. Oettinger, talking about how we needed to build up a European digital capacity so as to take on the United States. That was the phrase, to take them on. Now I can see that lots of German companies resent competition from the US. I can see that they don't like Google and Apple and Uber and all the rest of it. I understand that. But again, who is losing there? It's not just the American tech companies that are suffering. It's also the person trying to set up a more nimble, more modern challenger in the European Union. That, for me, is the fundamental reason why I think we as a country will be better off out. We're a buccaneering people, we're an inventive, we're an enterprising people. It's no coincidence that the transformation of the world economy that lifted our species to pinnacles of wealth and happiness never before dreamed of began in this country. It began because we're a people who tinker and muck around with things until we improve them. And we have brought immense wealth to the entire planet by exporting those ideas. But it depends on the freedom to innovate, to explore, to trial and pilot new schemes without constantly being pushed back by regulation, which is driven by established cartels that don't want any new kids on the block. One last thought, because I'd like to have time to do some you guys and do some Q&A. Every continent on our planet has experienced significant economic growth over the last decade, except Antarctica and Europe. And actually, if you count the cruise ships that come to Antarctica, it's only Europe. Antarctica is booming if you measure that as exogenous economic activity there, right? The last 10 years, China's economy has doubled in size. India's economy has doubled in size. Ethiopia's economy has doubled in size, but the Eurozone, incredibly, was the same size at the end of 2015 as it had been in 2006. Now, think about where your long-term international opportunities are going to be. I was doing a debate the other day against a Lib Dem MEP, and he said, what you need to understand is that we sell more to Belgium than we do to the whole of China. And I said to him, well, that's precisely the problem. Which of those two represents the better long-term opportunity for us? Why are we allowing all of our trade to be artificially redirected by the interests of the European producers? Do you know, we have no trade deal with India, despite 9 years of talking about it in Brussels, because Italian textile workers don't want the competition and blah, blah. We have no trade deal with China. Switzerland, they have a trade deal with China. Iceland, they have a trade deal with China. We do not. We don't have a trade deal with Australia because it's being held up by some Italian tomato growers. Italian tomato growers may be right or wrong. I don't know enough about Italian tomato growers. But how on earth did we put ourselves in a position where we can't decide that for ourselves? Even the EU's free trade deal with Canada is now being vetoed by Romania because of an unrelated dispute about visas. Now again, the Romanians may or may not have a point, but surely it can't be in Britain's interest to have these global commercial opportunities held up by protectionist vested interests of the continent. That's why I see the process of leaving the European Union, it will be a sudden break. The day after we leave will look pretty much like the day before we leave, but it's the day that we can begin to reorient away from innovative, exhaustive, declining Eurozone towards those more opulent markets across the oceans. It'll be a gradual process where we disapply the most burdensome rules and we we begin to have a deeper trading relationship with those parts of the world that are in fact growing. That's why I would urge you, as entrepreneurs, as the people who are going to stop paying my salary, I hope, in a couple of years' time, to vote to leave on the 23rd of June, to reorient, raise our eyes to more global horizons, and rediscover that global vocation that once defined us as a people. Thank you very much. So, I'd love to take some questions, and I'm sure that I'll get a nod when the time is up. Yes, I saw you first, please. You want to shout? I'll repeat your question. So two aspects of that question for the people who couldn't hear it. The questioner is torn between voting to remain or voting to leave. Would it be impossible for the UK now to go out and do these trade deals? Well, as a matter of fact, it is. I mean, just as a matter of literal fact, the day we joined the EU, we gave Brussels 100% control of our trade policy. And I don't think that's widely appreciated even now after 40 years of membership. And certainly it's not appreciated by our meeting. You know, Narendra Modi comes over here and everyone talks about a trade delegation. It's not a trade delegation if you can't sign a treaty. You know, we're having all this stuff in the news now about the Chinese president's state visit. Again, people were talking about all the trade deals being done. No trade deals were done. Of course, trade can happen with China. You don't need a trade deal to sell with another country, right? I mean, I don't need to tell you guys this. Businesses sell to businesses, governments don't deal with governments. A trade deal is about removing barriers. We would be in a far stronger position outside the EU to be removing those barriers. The EU, although it does have trade deals in place with some 50 countries around the world, it has a far less open economy than has Switzerland or Chile or Singapore. These, in terms of the total turnover, have much more wide-ranging trade deals than the EU has, and we would too. What's the EU most protectionist about? Basically things that we don't really do much of in this country. Agriculture, certain steel products, textiles, and then these various kind of these old German media companies that don't want the American competition. So yeah, I think we would return to what we always were, which is a basically free trading economy without tariffs. If you're on the fence, though, and I suspect a lot of people are on the fence, and it's a very reasonable and intelligent position to be on the fence. There's a very small number of people who have thought about it that much already. I'll just say one thing. There's no such thing as a qualified vote to stay. Every vote to remain is going to be taken in Brussels as warm applause. Well done, guys, carry on, we love you. There isn't a status quo option on the ballot paper. There's a road that leads to common market, not common government. There's a road that leads to more and more integration. Staying in is not the same as staying put. Staying in means being part of a process that leads, well, we can see what's happening, right? There's the Euro crisis, there's the migration crisis. The EU is responding to both of those as it responds to everything with more and more integration. That's what we would be voting to acquiesce in. Ask yourselves just one question if you're on the fence. Just one question. Think of this recent renegotiation, right? The 2 years that the Prime Minister travelled around Europe begging for better terms. Look at what he came back with. No new treaty, not one power returned, not £1 back off our contribution, nothing except one tweak to a minor directive about benefits for EU nationals. Ask yourselves this. If that's how intractable the European Union is, how unable or how unwilling to reform, if that's how we are treated now, we, the second largest financial contributor, before we have our referendum on leaving, how would we be treated the day after? saw yesterday who'd been putting in the biggest amounts of money to the Britain Stronger in Europe campaign, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citi and so on. Right? Fair enough. You know, from their point of view, I can see the advantages. That is your classic over-regulated market. If you are one of these massive mega banks, the more regulation, the better. When's the last time somebody started up a competitive new bank? It's impossible. It's impossible. But if you're an established giant, you can afford the compliance costs. And what happens, and that's true, the banks is true of other sectors. So you're right, we're very good at SMEs in this country. And most SMEs, to be honest, in a big home market like ours, don't do very much international trade at all. This morning, I had a haircut. You may not notice that, as I realise it's less obvious in my case than in some. I had a haircut and I bought a cup of tea. Now, both of those things were adding to our GDP. Neither of them was adding to our trade, right? They were both essentially domestic transactions. Most of our economy is like that. And that's true of all big countries. We are one of only 2 states in the European Union that then sells more outside it than to the other 27 members. We increase. Okay. So the EU is a minority of that minority of our economic activity that's dependent on overseas trade. Put it in figures. How many British companies trade with the EU at all? Obviously not the barber, not the guy I bought my cup of tea from. How many? 6%. 6% of all the UK firms trade with the EU. But 100% of our companies have to apply 100% of EU regulations. And that's, in a way, the trade-off, right? That's the thing that we're deciding on the 23rd of June. For the interests of a small number of these big multinationals, of Shell, Unilever, Goldman Sachs and so on, is it worth applying the full costs of all EU regulation on everybody else? Sure, of course, in or out, we will have to meet EU rules when we sell to the EU. Of course we do, just like we have to meet Japanese standards when we sell to Japan. But we no longer have to apply them to our domestic economy, nor to our non-EU exports. And I think the chief beneficiaries will be our startups, our innovators, our entrepreneurs. And I can't help noticing, when I look at where's the lead side getting our money from, it's overwhelmingly from companies like that. It's not from the giants, it's from the entrepreneurs. Or if they are giants, it's almost always the company that someone started himself and built up. Very, very different kind of person from the corporate affairs guy who did accountancy qualification and became CEO of his first public company at Wall Street, right? And those people are all to remain. And I know who I would rather have on my side. Yeah.
Daniel, thank you very much indeed. First of all, can I take this opportunity to thank you for all the work you've done over many years highlighting the inadequacies of the European Union. My company, Invest UK, is a foreign direct investment business, so we go around the world bringing investment, not trade, into the UK. So we have a small business perspective because we've done 90 inward investment deals in the last 3 years, and we have come out in favour of the Leave campaign. And I just thought it'd be interesting to share why. It was a speech from the chief executive of SunPower, who is the Chinese private equity firm that invested in and has transformed both the House of Fraser stores and the Hamleys stores and made them into international UK brands. It's a real inward investment success story. And he said, when I asked him what was his view on Brexit, he said something quite interesting. He said, it would make no difference, but I'll tell you why. He said, you must understand, in China we think of one belt, one road. We think in terms of trading lines, not in terms of blocks. So there's a whole different worldview out there about what trading and investment actually means, as opposed to a rather analog view of blocks, which is by its very nature adversarial. That was just a point, but my question is, will they let us leave?
Thank you. Well, first of all, thank you for contributing to our GDP growth. It's worth noting, by the way, because we sometimes hear it said that the very threat of leaving the EU will deter inward investment. Well, you know, I always think it's better to go with observed fact than with supposition. David Cameron promised this referendum in January 2013. Since then, there has been more FDI into this country than to anywhere else in the EU, and I think than into the entire Eurozone put together. So in the real world, plainly, overseas investors are not being deterred by the prospect of our leaving the European Union, and I think it's because they understand that leaving the European Union doesn't mean leaving the free market. It means leaving the political institutions in Brussels. Will they let that happen? What will happen the day after we vote no? Well, the first point to stress is that, and this is often difficult because we're not used to referendums in this country. And so we think in terms of general elections. And I think a lot of people at the back of their mind kind of half think that if they vote to leave, they're putting the Leave campaign into office. And that's why they say to us, you know, what's your policy on farm subsidies or whatever. But if you think about it for a minute, that isn't what a referendum is. A referendum is a mandate. It's like instructing a lawyer. A referendum is the British people instructing the government, okay, we voted to leave, now you get us out on the best terms and within a time scale that suits us and is fair to our friends and allies on the continent. We would control that time. There'd be no automatic countdown. We'd have the talks, we'd work out the broad parameters of a deal, and when everyone was happy, it would come into effect. It could be very quickly, it could be 2 or 3 years, I don't know. The day it comes into effect, to repeat the point I made a moment earlier, nothing has changed. Like, all of our tariff and trade arrangements remain as they were. All of the technical standards that we've been assimilating for 40, 45 years are still in place. All of the deals on reciprocal healthcare and all that remain in place. Brexit is the day that the divergence can begin. Those things remain in place until one side or the other chooses to change them. Now, of course, one side or the other will choose to change a few of those things. There'll be lots of things that we want to disapply, otherwise there'll be no point in Brexit, right? There's lots of expensive and harmful regulations where we think that the costs of compliance outweigh any benefits. And equally, there will be some areas where the other countries want to push ahead with much deeper union without us. But the point is, it'll be a gradual process that begins with Brexit. It's a process, not an event. And the person who put this best, funnily enough, was the leader of the Remain campaign, Lord Rose, at the very beginning. He said, I'm quoting his exact words here, he said, it won't be a step change, it'll be a gentle process. And he went on to say, before his horrified spin doctors could shut him up, he went on to say, after 5 years, you won't notice any change. After 10 years, you'll notice the beginning of some change. And then after 15 years, that's when you'll notice a change. And that's exactly right. Brexit is a process, a different trajectory, one that allows us to reorient away from an exhausted and failing continent that is, we know, going to spend the next 10 or 20 years wrestling with the euro crisis, and rediscover our older friendships, not least in the Commonwealth and the other English-speaking and common law countries where we have a natural advantage in business. We've got time for a couple more questions.
And is that binding on a future government, what you just talked about? A referendum?
In theory, no, a referendum is advisory. In practice, I think it would be impossible for us not to leave. But again, to stress, leave, you know, would they try and stop us? Would it be I mean, leaving means recovering the right to make our own laws. It doesn't mean that we suddenly rip up all the deals. But most things remain in place. So, a couple of months ago, I was skiing in Switzerland and I foolishly attempted a jump and ended up in hospital. It was a super efficient hospital in Switzerland. And of course, being Swiss, they were super efficient about making sure that they were paid. And they said, what's your European health insurance number? And I said, well, I don't have it on me. And they said, it's okay, get your wife to take a picture on her mobile and text it to you. It made no difference that Switzerland is not in the European Union. They had that deal anyway. The point is, all of that kind of stuff will remain in place as long as both sides want it to. So it'll be a gradual process. However, over time, I think that we will see the impact. And we will see the impact. We've become a very enterprising my lifetime, a really encouraging thing, is how many school leavers now want to run their own businesses. They don't want to work in some massive multinational. Or if it becomes a massive multinational, they want it to be theirs. They want to take it. You know? We're really, really good at that. We don't have this thing of wanting to be a civil servant or, you know, and that will be something that over time continues to transform the face of this country. I'm really optimistic about how Britain is going to look 10 or 20 years from now, with driverless cars and 3D printing and all the other biotech, all the amazing innovations that are coming in, with cheaper energy. Once we allow that to return to world prices, it will boost all of our old industries as well as our new ones. Cheaper food prices that will mean that there's more disposable income, there's more money in the economy, it's like a permanent stimulus. We can do extremely well if we just have the courage, the self-belief to live under our own rules. Time for one more, yes. Sorry, what did I not answer?
You didn't answer from the gentleman before. Can the EU stop getting arms? And I'm not sure what the gentleman said. The next government is beg.
I mean, sorry, I tried to answer the first one by saying it'll be a very gentle process, so there won't be a single moment that the EU can stop. But, of course, a future government could, in theory, take us back into the EU. But ask yourselves, if we were not in the EU now, would any of us be arguing that we should join? Right? And we look, you know, in 1975, so you're all too young to remember 1975, but in the 1975 referendum, Europe looked like the future. You know, we were the sick man of Europe. We had double-digit inflation and constant strikes and prices and incomes policies. And we looked across the channel and we thought, oh, these chaps are doing something right. We should hitch our wagon to that locomotive. Does anyone think it looks that way today? You know? We look at the disaster of the euro, we look at the unfolding migration crisis. Does this look like a modern, successful project that we now want to be part of? We're being held in by inertia. And, frankly, by the vested interests of people who have learned how to make a handy living out of it over the last 40 years. But once we're out, the idea that any future British government will want to take us in, any more than the Norwegians or the Swiss or any other free people in Western Europe would now want to join, unthinkable. Yes, sir.
This is a slightly unusual question, but I'm a tech investor back in Dublin, and I would love to bring some like-minded people to come and visit you in your offices one day when we speak, because your presentation is anything but stodgy. It's lovely and free-spirited, and I'd love to encourage a lot more people back home, and there's lots of us to get the hell out of the Euro, the hell out of the EU, and join you guys. So I really think Europe is wasting our time.
Expect us to do, I think universally they think we will vote to stay in. And that explains a great deal about why the terms we were offered were so poor. Why we were effectively offered the chance to stay in on unchanged conditions. I was talking to a commissioner the other day, last week, and I said, how many of your colleagues don't want Brexit to happen? He said, all of them. I said, how many of them think it's a possibility? He said, none of them. Well, there you are. In a way, that's all you need to know, right? Why would you make any concessions? The concessions will come after the leave vote. A vote to leave by a large democracy like ours, that changes the terms of reference. Now, as I said earlier, it's not going to be a dramatic thing. We'll end up in some kind of associate status where we're in the common market but outside the politics. But all of those concessions, the vote to leave is when the talking starts. That's not the end, that's the beginning. And I suspect what will happen after, on the 24th of June, a couple of weeks after that, so the other leaders will get together and they'll say, okay, now you've got our attention. What is it you actually want? And I think we will come with a list of points about getting sovereignty back and more trade power with non-EU countries and all the rest of it, and I suspect it'll be a very easy and amicable process. And it will end up with some kind of country club membership, some kind of associate status, whatever you want to call it. And doesn't that leave everybody happy? And I think one or two other countries might then follow us, including, I very much hope, the Republic of Ireland, and maybe also Netherlands and Denmark and so on. And we could have a completely different kind of arrangement in Europe. One where you have a truly pan-continental common market that stretches from Iceland and the Faroe Islands to Turkey and Armenia, no tariffs, free circulation. And then within that, a much tighter group of, I don't know, 20, 25 countries that have the euro and their single president and their single foreign policy. Great. Doesn't that leave everybody happy? Federalists can push ahead, and the more merchant, maritime, peripheral countries can get what they thought they were coming for in the first place, which is free trade and not political assimilation. Everybody wins. Britain recovers her independence, and the other countries, well, they lose a whining tenant and they gain a good name.